Hi everyone, my name is Priyanka and welcome to my vlog. Today I'm going to tell you 7 reasons why you need to set up healthy boundaries. Now, most of you are going to agree that you have at some point of time learned this habit of saying yes all the time. So it can be with your parents or your siblings or your loved ones like your in-laws or your husband or your wife or your children or your peers or your bosses at work, and you end up saying so much of yes that you have no time for yourself. You are physically, mentally and emotionally drained, and it is time for you to understand why you need those healthy boundaries, because so far you've not understood the concept of healthy boundaries. You have heard about them or you have tried to create these healthy boundaries, but how can you create those healthy boundaries till the time you don't understand why you need them? So let's get on with it. The first sign is that you cannot say no because you will end up looking very rude and bad in front of people. So you've created this healthy image of yourself, which is of an empath. Maybe you're an empath, maybe you're not an empath. You are actually identifying to be somebody who's always caring about others, and that is the reason why you cannot say no. And you don't want to come out looking as a rude person. You are having a very low threshold of taking on someone else's drama. So you fear, if I say no, this person is going to end up crying or end up getting angry or irritated at me, and I don't want to be the reason to upset somebody else. Now, you don't understand that whenever you're doing that, you're enabling another individual. Maybe they are great people, but are obviously behaving like a child with you, a petulant child who knows that he or she can throw around a tantrum and you'll go running around and doing their work. This is exactly what's happening to you. It is not necessarily that you are enabling a manipulative person. It can be just that you are enabling a person who's very good, but you have taught them the ways of a petulant child. Now, the reason why you end up being this person who's always saying yes is because somewhere someone in this life of yours taught you that if you said no, you would come across as rude, you would come across as a bad apple. Latched onto this thing because every one of us wants to create a great image, and in that aspect you have somewhere lost yourself, because in this rush to be a good person you forgot being good to yourself. You forgot what it is to have a healthy boundary, to learn to say no to others, because all this time you have been stretching yourself too thin because you want to be in the good books of others. You want to create this image that's not you, because nobody can be good all the time. There are certain days and hours in a day that sometimes ask you to be a little blunt. And if you don't know where you're standing and you're simply standing in one corner, which is all about being good, then you end up being this bad person for yourself. So you end up being very, very bad to yourself so that you can be good to others. And that is where you need to understand that you are not benefiting from it. In fact, no one is benefiting from it. And if you're doing it with your husband or wife, or if you're doing it with your children or your parents or in laws, you are facing the music, or even with your boss. You are somebody who's overworking, who's overtired, who's emotionally, physically, and mentally drained because you want to be that good person. Imagine you are so good to them, you are so nice to them, and then they take advantage of you, and you're doing it because you're creating this high standard that nobody can match up to. But the day you die, let me tell you the truth, nobody is going to remember you for your high standards. And when I noticed that no matter how good you are, people are still going to talk bad about you. And so, what is the point? What is the point of stretching yourself thin for people who have such low standards? And let me tell you, Everybody is operating from a low standard. No one is going to put you on a pedestal. No one is going to worship you while you are living. And let me tell you, no one is going to worship you when you're dead. So live a little, live this life, and let others carry on their weight. Let them learn to carry that weight of theirs, because this way they are also not living a good life. Because if you are gone, they will not be able to handle this life so well. So it is time for you to bring in a balance in your life. Bring in that balance by simply understanding that you cannot be good at all times. The second sign is that you're unable to speak up. Speak up about your desires, speak up about your needs. So if you're feeling too tired and your boss comes in with another project, knowing very well that you are already burdened enough that you are burning the midnight oil, that boss is going to give you that project because he or she knows that you are going to end up saying yes. And that project can be done by somebody else in your department, but it comes to you because you are an easy target. So stop being an easy target for others. Learn to speak up about your needs, because most times we don't end up speaking about our needs. We don't end up saying the things we need to say. You have to put a stop to this obnoxious behaviors of yours where you end up just tiring yourself to no point. That boss is going to give that promotion that you have been waiting all this while to somebody else. The reason why others will get that promotion over you is because they have healthy boundaries. And your boss needs you where you are right now so that you can carry on the load of your team. And same way, that same principle applies in your relationships. If you're a wife who's always doing the household chores and who's always looking after the kids and never speaking up, then you know what I'm talking about. Same thing applies for your children. You are doing too much for them. Let everybody become a little bit independent by simply standing there and speaking up for once. Speak up for yourself. Since you're too good and you're raising up the standards, raise your standard for yourself. Time is of essence for you because you are here on a limited time period. You are not here for years and years. Already wasted so much of that precious time trying to please others, then where's the time to live your life? You are unable to live this life of yours because of your high standards, because you want to be that empath, you want to be this person who is always doing too much and never having any sort of expectations. I'm not talking about having enormous expectations. I'm talking about having expectations where people let you live this life meaningfully. You have no meaningful life because your life is now overburdened, and this is where you have to stand up and speak up of your desires. If you desire to work, if you are having a desire to have your partner chip in financially, if you're a man, speak up. It's time for you to speak up because this world needs people who have an ability to speak up their mind, and you are allowing this sort of behavior to carry on. Your children are catching on to this behavior where they're learning from their parents that it's okay to sit on the sidelines, it's okay not to speak up. No, you are a person who can make their own decisions, and you are a person who needs to set up a healthy boundary, because otherwise people are going to take you for granted and people are going to misuse your time and energy. And third sign is that you're unable to challenge people. Now if somebody has been very much ignoring you, let's say your boss has been giving you too much of work, they are not appreciating you, appreciating a team member who's been slacking all this while you've been picking up everyone's weight, and yet you don't go and confront your boss because you fear everything in this life. You are the person who wants to continue keeping this good image, and that is the reason why you are unable to confront them. Same goes for your relationships. Let's say if a person is treating you badly in a relationship, they are abusive physically or emotionally, you don't stand up for yourself. You simply wait for some circumstances to change in the other person's life so they can behave better with you. No, it's not going to happen that way. Even with your children, if they're behaving very badly with you because they know that they can get away with it, then it's time for you to wake up and see that it's you. You are unable to challenge others challenge the way they are behaving with you, because you have always been so worried about how people perceive you. People are perceiving you as a weakling. That is the truth. That is your entire truth, because you are not standing up for yourself. They don't see you as someone who is setting up great standards. No, they are seeing you as a weakling, because they know that you will never challenge them and they can get away with their bad behavior. So don't let them get away with the bad behavior. It doesn't matter if you're a male or a female, and in a relationship, all people are equal. A man and you have a woman screaming at you in public and making you feel embarrassed and not treating you well, you know that you have to stand up for yourself. It doesn't matter what gender you are. All that matters is that you're a human being and you deserve the best. Same goes for women who are facing a lot of physical abuse in their marriages, and they are just simply sitting there and taking on that abuse. It's time for you to stand up for yourself. It's time for you to stand up for your children. Till the time that person really beats you half to death or threatens your children, and then you wake up and walk away. No, time is of essence. You need to wake up now, and you need to tell yourself that it is time for me to stand up for myself. Same goes in your career. If your boss is treating you very badly, you must stand up for yourself. Don't do that extra work because you know that somebody else was supposed to do that work, and your peers are slacking off or they're giving their work to you because you cannot say no. You have to learn the art of saying no. You have to set up healthy boundaries. You have to become courageous enough to confront other people's bad behavior. Fourth one is that you have taken on the onus of feeling other people's emotions more than yours. So you give them more credit, uh, you give them more value, you put them on a pedestal. So if they're hurt a little, if they're angry or irritated a little bit, you will refuse to take cognizance of your own emotions at that time. Let's say confrontation is going on, you confront them, you challenge them, and suddenly they get back at you because they know that they can challenge you back, because you have no backbone. You have been always pleasing them to no ends. And that is where you have to see that sign that all it was you who was facing this trouble and you had gone to challenge them. Now they have turned the tables on you, and now you are the one who's apologizing to them. You'll end up apologizing too much, because for you, you cannot see another person feeling this way, because the onus of their emotions lies with you. How does it matter what other person is feeling if you are feeling miserable, and if you have felt that you are not valued enough in that relationship or in that career? It's time for you to speak up. It's time for you to stand up for yourself. Decide how somebody is feeling. That decision is not with you, and that responsibility is not with you. That responsibility lies with them. They are the ones who have been treating you bad, and yet you are the one who's been apologizing all this while. You may confront them, but then you'll end up apologizing because you feel that you cannot make anybody cry or make anybody feel angry or irritated. How does that solve your problem? Because you have been facing this problem for so long, where you end up refusing to take cognizance of your own emotion state. You'll end up feeling miserable after apologizing too. It doesn't make you feel good. It makes you feel even more guilty, because you didn't stand up for yourself. That you don't value yourself in that situation. Because you don't value yourself, others also don't value you. And it's a sign for you to stop apologizing for something that other person has done to you. The fifth sign is that you overshare too much about your life. You talk so much about the things that are going on in your life, or about your personal relationships to others, about what's happening in your career. You're like an open book, because you think that the more open I am, other people are going to accept me. No, they're simply going to take that information and use it against you. And they will make sure that you never flourish in this life of yours. They're going to use whatever you said about the person you've been talking about. Let's say you've been talking about your in laws or about your um, husband or wife. They're going to take that information and they're going to pass on that information when the time is right to put you down. That's exactly what's happening to you all the time. And yet you end up oversharing, You end up talking about your personal life to people because you think that the more I talk, the more acceptable my image will be, that people are going to love this free spirited person. No, you're not free spirited, you're an oversharer. A free spirited person, in truth, is a person who doesn't need validation from others, who understands that their personal life is for their own living. They don't want to go around door to door talking about what's happening in their personal life, because if you're doing that, if you're oversharing, then you have no boundaries. And because you don't have any boundaries, you are now facing that music. Tell me, isn't it happening to you that every time you say something to the another person who's a third party, things come back to you in your life and your life is a mess? You'll end up losing people, you'll end up losing that job, you'll end up losing that relationship, your marriage is going to fall away because you're allowing other people to sit in your personal life. You're allowing people to walk in freely in your life and they are leaving behind some messy footprints. So it's time for you to understand that the more you share about your personal life, the more trouble you are trying to bring into your life. You can check out a video that I've done on 5 things you should never share with others. You are going to gain a lot of insights into the things that are happening to you because you are an oversharer. The sixth sign is that whenever someone is asking you to do a task and you are tired, you end up agreeing to that task despite the fact that it might make you fall sick, and you end up falling sick. Is that true for you? Do you end up falling sick because you are doing too much at home, too much at office, and you are always there for other people's parties and you are never able to say no, despite the fact that it's draining you physically? If you are feeling tired and fatigued and you're not getting good sleep, you're unable to eat your meals on time, you're unable to have a healthy life, then you must understand that it's a sign that you have overworking yourself. And if you're overworking yourself, you are now digging your early grave. You are standing there and digging your early grave and trying to tell others that, yes, I'm going to still do your work. You're, in fact, going to crawl out of that grave in a skeletal form and still do people's task. That is the level of commitment you have for others, but you have no commitment for yourself. You have zero commitment for yourself. Feel that the moment I gave 5 minutes extra to this individual or half an hour extra to this individual is going to speak so amazingly about me. That individual will have wonderful things to say to me. So you end up playing with your own life. You end up working too hard and then you let go of your health and you end up becoming obese. You end up having bags under your eyes. You end up having a lot of hair loss. Your skin is looking like that of a zombie, and you don't have any healthy routine. Even on weekends, you're running around like a headless chicken, trying to impress upon those friends of yours that don't have your back. You have always tried to be this good person. So, let's say someone is inviting you to a party or an event. Despite knowing that you are running a fever, you will go and attend that event because that person means so much to you. But when it comes to your own events, when it comes to your own parties, you will find that person simply saying no to you at times. And you will still say, okay, no worries, they couldn't come. You will never try and understand that that individual knows where to set a healthy boundary. So the seventh sign is when you start changing important life decisions based on the opinion of others. This might have happened to you already. It could be about your career, it could be about your marriage, it could be about your children, or it could be about your health. You don't want to listen to yourself. You know that that decision is going to set you back in terms of money or in terms of health or in terms of relationships. But no, because you're a people pleaser, you will go on saying yes. And then you will simply keep on suffering. You'll keep on making one bad decision after the other because it's a cumulative effect. So if you start saying yes to one bad decision, let me tell you, you are going to say yes to all the bad decisions coming your way because somebody knows that you are readily giving them that money or that emotional sustenance or readily working day and night on that job. And that's exactly what you're doing. So it's time for you to understand where your life is heading. Don't undervalue your own thought process. You have an intelligence working for you, but you don't want to rely on that intelligence. You want to rely on the opinion of others. So somebody told you buy a land here or invest in that mutual fund or invest in crypto. And you found yourself now working tirelessly to make more money because your money is gone. Just see where your finances are going. Same way your health has been declining, your finances will also decline. Or somebody told you that because you're an oversharer, that you must do this in your marriage. This is going to work wonders for you. They know that this is not going to work wonders in your marriage. And then you've experienced that distance or gap in your marriage. You've experienced that fight or miscommunication in your marriage because you listened on to others and you decided to follow their path. It's time for you to understand that the only decision that must come in this life of yours must come from you and your partner, but in equality. You must have an open conversation with your partner to create meaningful decisions that benefit both of you. And don't let somebody else sit in your marriage. Don't let somebody else decide what career path you must take because at the end of the day, this is your life. And your life is of value. On trying to provide value to others. But first, you must provide value to yourself. First, become selfish enough to value yourself, value your time, energy, and effort, value the human being that you are, because nobody is going to do that for you. Once you start valuing yourself, you will find that people also end up valuing that individual that you are. They will not manipulate you because they know that they cannot manipulate you. They will not create circumstances where you end up giving too much because they know that you have learned the art of saying no. I hope that you love my vlog. If you love my vlog, do like, share, and subscribe and comment down below. And see you in the next one.